here are Rod Black and Glenn Suter.
Thank you very much, Dave, and welcome to Tiger Town. The Hammer tonight, TSN. Exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League, proud home of the Grey Cup. 1 month countdown to the Grey Cup game, and the Calgary Stampeders want to get there, a chance to clinch first place tonight. The weather, a nice night. Friday night lights on at Iverwin Stadium. John Hufnagel and the Stampeders can seal the deal in the West here.
Certainly a win tonight, and John Hufnagel's team takes first place and have that bye in the West to the Western Final. Marcel Belfait, different things on his mind. Of course, this football team out of the playoffs, but he is evaluating for next year and needs a couple of wins for his own resume as a possible head coach for next year.
Ticats have been in the role of playing spoilers the last couple of years into October, trying to play another spoiler here a week after almost pulling one out in Regina. Trey Smith brings the ball out to his 33-yard line, and here comes Quentin Porter, his 5th start as a Canadian Football League quarterback.
His 5th, and last week a field goal away from winning one in Saskatchewan. He threw for 300 yards, completed 65% of his passes. He will have Kenton Keith starting at tailback in the backfield. We will see a little Trey Smith as well. And here is the receiving corps. Appreciate Rodriguez, possible finalist for outstanding rookie out of the East. And in the offensive line, they have Thomas and Davis, Gerald Davis at the tackles.
Porter comes out throwing. The Cats come out receiving. Pat Woodcock.
Calgary Stampeders on defense up front. They're led by Charleston Hughes, who has 5 sacks, 61 tackles on that defensive line. No Juwan Armour in the linebacking core. More on that a little bit later. Dwayne Carpenter will fill in for him. Shannon James, maybe their best defensive player, and Wes Lysack back in the middle. Milton Collins will play a little in the secondary as well. Lenny Walls plays in his 3rd start.
Woodcock's catch just coming up short, so 2nd down, short yardage. And the Tiger Cats have a 1st down in this opening drive. This is a team, Marcel Belfait's team, that of course has a glut of running backs in their backfield. Jesse Lumsden will undergo a 2nd operation on his shoulder. Terry Cawley is out, so again Trey Smith getting a lot of playing time, and we are going to see a steady diet of number 21 tonight, Kenton Keith.
Just played in a couple of games, had 13 carries, 38 yards coming in tonight.
Porter dodges one. He can take off with the football. He does. Porter is not afraid to do that, the former star at Boston College.
Well, he's put together a couple of real good football games, and they want to take a good long look at him, give him a lot of reps. Marcel Belfait, the head coach, saying that they'd like to see this kid and see if he can prepare him to go head-to-head with Casey Printers next year in training camp to win the starting job. And the way it's looking right now, it looks like Quentin Porter will get all the opportunity next year to do that.
Porter can't find anyone. To throw it away, and it's knocked down. And if there is a bit of an Achilles heel to Quentin Porter's game, as we talked with Danny McManus, who assists with the offense, the former Grey quarterback, he's talked about Porter not delivering the football right away and having problems on his checkdowns.
Yeah, you could see that he didn't have anything to the play side, which is the right side of the formation for him on that play. So now it's just broken down in a scramble situation. That time, Dwayne Carpenter, who was replacing Juwan Armour, the linebacking core, knocked it down.
Ball will bounce back. And will it get to the end zone? No, it will not. What a great kick by Nick Seta. And the Stampeders, in the shadows of their goalposts, the CFL Offensive Player of the Week at the helm when we come back. Calgary getting ready for its first possession. Let's go down to the sideline and join former Stampeder Dwayne Ford. Hello, Dwayne.
Thanks, Rod. You know, as we look at this game and talk about the game within the game, one of the big battles going on is going to be between Hamilton's secondary and Calgary's great receiving corps. Hamilton's defensive coordinator, Denny Crehan, has challenged his DBs to be physical with the Calgary receivers tonight. So look for them to try and disrupt the timing between Henry Burris and his receiving corps.
There is the leading yardage receiver, Kenyon Rambo. Top rushing leader, Joffrey Reynolds, who gets the call right away. And again, that great kick by Nick Setta, pinning the ears back of the Stampeders, as we once again take a look at the starting lineups, brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. Look again at Holiday Inn.
Joffrey Reynolds, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League, just ahead of Wes Cates of Saskatchewan. There's that receiving core that Dwayne was talking about, one of the best in the league as a group against this Hamilton secondary. We will watch that tonight. And those two young guards inside, Demetrius Sumpas and Jesse Newman, playing tremendous football.
Throwing down, Burris pump fakes and over the middle, and it's almost picked off. And Rontarius Robinson may have had a touchdown had he been able to haul that in, and Burris knows he also had some receivers open.
Oh, he would have had a touchdown, Rod. He's right there at the back of your screen. Right here is the safety playing in the middle, reading the eyes of Henry Burris, who glances outside and then goes right down the seam. This ball right in his hands. He has a huge lane to run with it and just drops the football. This secondary last week versus Saskatchewan had 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. This is a good group.
Rontarius Robinson's going to be going to bed tonight, and all he's going to see coming at him all night long is a football spiraling towards him. Bert Dales is back, and he decides to kick it out. We do not see that a lot. Maybe he was listening to you last week. Usually we see a lot of kickers take the safety, give up 2 points. There is a no yards call on the play. We'll sort it out when we come back. Scoreless early on here in Hamilton. Wendy's CFL on TSN Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. Second time to scrimmage now for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Quentin Porter behind center. There's the first carry of the night for Kenton Keith. A little shaking and a little baking, but not going anywhere as he's swallowed up by that front line. No Juwan Armour tonight for the Calgary Stampeders.
Yes, on Tuesday night, Juwan Armour was in an incident off the field for the Calgary Stampeders. He was in a fight in the city. John Hufnagel decided that he would basically punish Juwan Armour for that decision, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, by not bringing him on the trip to Hamilton and not playing. He had to get checked out medically. Apparently he'll be okay.
Porter the pump fake. Keith out of the backfield, spinning, and will be held a couple yards short of the first down. But it was definitely a disciplinary measure taken by John Hufnagel, who has said from the beginning of this season, I am the sheriff in town.
Without question, and that was his message from the beginning of training camp, and he continues with that. And I should say that Juwan Armour, of course, has no history in this. There's no criminal charges or anything like that. Dwayne Carpenter replaces Armour, which he has throughout the year anyway, but Juwan Armour is not that type of guy. This will be a one-time thing. I'm sure he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not giving him any excuses, but I'm sure he'll be back in the lineup next week.
Once again, Henry Burris coming out. So far, 2 and outs. A little chill in the air tonight, but not a bad night. No wind in the air. Let's go down to the sideline now once again and join Sarah Orleski.
Rod, with the type of season that the Calgary Stampeders offense has had so far, perhaps not enough attention has been paid to the job that their offensive line has done, which going into the season was thought to perhaps be one of their weaknesses, specifically because of the rookie guards that they have in Dimitri Zumpas and Jesse Newman. They have done a great job, though, the team tells me so far. The Calgary Stampeders are second in sacks allowed, in fewest sacks allowed, and a lot of credit has to be given to the veterans for this group, Jeff Pilon and Rob Lazio, who say that these young guys, they have been sponges. They were quiet, like deers in the headlights at the beginning, but now they are like sponges and they have fit in just fine.
Well, they have absorbed, and the veterans have fit in. You saw that right there as Nick Lewis makes it 87 straight games. Now receiving a pass, set a brand new Stampeder record last week. Trying to open a hole there, that offensive line. Unprecedented to have youngsters like that And Jesse Newman and Dimitri Zumpas. Don't forget about Ben Archibald, guys with very little experience in doing what they're doing as we take a look at the D of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, they'll face this defense. The newcomer in the D line is Sasha Lancaster. Interesting story behind Lancaster as we get to it throughout this game. There's Cornelius Anthony. He'll be a key on the quarterback draw should Calgary run it tonight. And there's that great secondary that we talked about. I think this is a very good secondary and gaining confidence every game.
Kenyon Rambo can't come up with that. Jeff Tisdale in front of that, and just behind the receivers. Again, can you think back to when an offensive line had so many babies on it?
No, you know, and this bodes well for the Calgary Stampeders throughout their future, and not just the short term, but the long term future when you have two guys like Jesse Newman and Dimitri Zumpas, as Sarah mentioned, in the lineup. Then you look at the defensive side of the ball, and when you put in Michael Binjo and Miguel Robidet, those again two Canadian defensive linemen, now you've got some guys you can really build your team around, and that's sort of the foundation for your team for the future.
And Trey Smith elects to do what Marcus Howell did earlier, and it backfires on him as well. Picks it up at his 4-yard line because he thought that was going over his head and going to the end zone. Still scoreless here. 8 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Wendy's Friday Night Football will continue. CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2008 GMC Sierra. Professional grade.
Calgary Stampeders have gained some field position advantage here at the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Started out with great field position because they had the big punt from Seta, got down inside the 5-yard line, and in a couple of series, Calgary has worked themselves out of that and now put Hamilton backed up into their own goal area.
With very little breeze tonight, those punters could form a lot of this little chess match tonight. There's Priche Rodriguez on the far side. Little under route and a first down. Getting out from the shadows, Quinton Porter and the Tiger Cats. And how about the season Priche Rodriguez is having?
It's a remarkable season. He should get 1,000 yards if he has a big game by the end of tonight. He had 909 coming in, and it's been quite some time since a Ticat receiver has had 1,000 yards. Consider that he's a rookie and that he missed the first 3 games of the year. They were working him in slowly. If you project his numbers, he would have close to 1,300 yards.
Porter, quick hitter. Ernest Jackson, who made quite an impressive debut a few weeks ago in the win over Montreal here, one of the rare wins for the Tiger Cats. His first CFL reception was a touchdown from Quinton Porter.
Yeah, and Ernest Jackson gets a chance to play. Scott Mitchell will sit down for this game and get some fresh legs out there in Ernest Jackson, and plus a chance to evaluate him as Marcel Belfait tries to figure out who he wants to invite back next year.
Also got some rangy receivers this year. Powering figures as Keith carries the mail and Mike Labinjo drops him for a loss.
You know, I mentioned the receiving corps. We talk about this receiving corps for Hamilton, Rod, and Priche Rodriguez looking at a 1,000-yard season in his rookie year. You have to go back to 2005 and DJ Flick, a current Saskatchewan Roughrider, to find the last 1,000-yard receiver. Craig Yeast, a couple of years for him. And, of course, Darren Flutie back in the Danny McManus days as a starting quarterback here. And that's where they've really struggled over the last couple.
Throwing down now, 2nd and 11. Porter under pressure, and he's dropped. Eddie Freeman brings down Quinton Porter.
Calgary Stampeders get there, but Quinton Porter did get out of the shadow of his goalpost and get a little field position so that they can punt the football away. That was a couple of first downs, is really what he needed to get some field position back. Pat Woodcock, the receiver, inside receiver, looked like he was running a bang route. In other words, coming across and then putting the brakes on, and it took too long to develop. Quinton Porter, the pocket collapsed around him.
Porter's ability to take a hit is a big factor. And Ticat offensive line has said that the kid just keeps coming back for more. Marcus Howell to the 36-yard line. Henry Burris, CFL Offensive Player of the Week, knows what this game tonight means to the Stampeders.
we're playing for big stakes here. And I'm not talking about T-bone or porterhouse steaks. I'm talking about, for the West. And as tough as the West has been on us and the opposition, we have a chance to do something big here. And that's close it out, get the first round bye, win the West in the regular season, and head right to the Western Finals. So, I mean, with that on the line, I mean, it's not going to take too much to get us pumped up.
Chance to win the West tonight, host the West Final. John Hufnagel knows the importance of this, will not take the Hamilton Tiger Cats lightly.
No, they won't. In fact, he has reminded his team that they have won just 3 of their last 10 here in Hamilton. It's not been an easy place for Calgary to win.
Reynolds up the gut. And he's tripped up right there.
And they obviously have one of, if not the best team in the Canadian Football League, along with Montreal Alouettes in the East. But John Hufnagel understands he's facing a Hamilton Tiger Cat team that continues to grow confidence, continues to come together. They've been very close in a lot of games. They're on the road. And as long as this game is close, he knows he gives Hamilton more and more confidence. So that's what is facing John Hufnagel.
2nd and 4, nowhere to go this time for Joffrey Reynolds. Moose Marius, Ray Marius wrestles him to the ground. There is a penalty flag. Well, John Hufnagel knows the importance of this. The Stampeders and all the fans in Calgary know it, but one of the things, even against a Hamilton team,
holding Calgary number 68, that penalty's declined. 3rd down.
That has suffered so many losses over the last couple of years. The Stampeders have not won in Iverwin Stadium since 2005.
Yeah, this has been a tough place for them to win. And he was reminding the team of that all week long. Like, don't look past this football team. They're coming together. They play hard. They push Saskatchewan to a last-second field goal. They make that. They beat Saskatchewan in Mosaic Stadium last week.
Burke-Dales again. Ooh, flubbed kick, a flutterer. Trey Smith watches it bounce behind him. It's all over the place here. There's a no yards call. Burke-Dales actually had the benefit of the bounce there. Otherwise, that ball would have been near the 45-yard line of Calgary.
Yeah, and he'll get 5 yards on this no yards call, the Hamilton Tiger Cats' Trey Smith. But off the side of his foot, Burke-Dales, again, a play like this really changes field position in a hurry. Instead of a big kick and maybe another 20, 25 yards of field position, the Tiger Cats will get the no yards call
number 9,
and get it at center field.
Talked with Burke before the game. He says he really likes kicking here. He loves this stadium because of the confines, and you played here, you know how close and tight it is at Iverwin Stadium, but particularly a night like tonight, Burke was saying with no wind. Now, he didn't show it on that kick, but there's no wind here tonight, so the punting game could be a huge factor.
And that was ruled a 15-yard no yards, although it did hit the ground.
Order on the play action. Chris Davis spins and looked like he had a couple of yards and may only get 2 or 3, but let's go take a look back at this again, because if you catch the ball and it's no yards, it's a 15-yard penalty.
That's right. If you catch it in the air, it's 15 yards. Now, if there's no attempt at all by the cover team to get out of the 15-yard zone on a bouncing ball, they can give you the 15-yard penalty, and I'm not sure if that was the case. I know Wes Lysak ran by it. John Cornish was right there. And I guess they're just ruling that they didn't even attempt to get out of the 5-yard area.
To the middle, and almost a dangerous pass there, almost picked off. Brandon Smith right there as Porter was looking for Ernest Jackson, and once again a 3rd down coming up. A lot of 2-and-outs so far and no points on the board. 3:25 to go in the opening quarter.
Yeah, it's been a game of real estate so far in this first quarter. It's just back and forth who is trying to keep and maintain that field position advantage, and it's flipped back and forth a couple of times now. Long field goal attempt here.
Last time that Nick Setta had a field goal attempt of this distance was last week in Regina near the 55-yard line, and he missed, remember, and the Ticats would have upset the Rough Riders. But again, no breeze. Setta's got a big leg. It's blocked. Setta can't get it. The Stampeders have it. So what a turn of events for field position there. That was blocked, and then Charleston Hughes picked it up, the big rush end.
And I'm just wondering if it was Charleston Hughes who actually blocked it. Tough to tell from this angle, but it comes from the left of your screen. I think it was 39 who shot through there, and now contributing on the special teams as well. He ends up scooping it up.
Wanted to pitch that back, it looked like, for a moment, but the Stampeders will take it. Big play by Charleston Hughes, the block and the fumble recovery, or the recovery on the block. So inside 3 minutes, instant field position for Burris. Reynolds out of the backfield. Close to a first down and into the red zone now.
Well, what a play by Charleston Hughes to get through on the special teams like that, block a kick, change the field position, but not only that, he scoops it up so he gets inside of basically the red zone and give his offense the best opportunity tonight for points. And he's going to come from right over here in your screen. Charleston Hughes comes through. 2 hands on the block. Looked like a little bit of a timing issue for Hamilton as well. Really had no chance to get that out of there.
Second down, Burris. Nowhere to go in the clutch. Markeith Knowlton with the sack. And Henry Burris has a chuckle with Markeith Knowlton. And so now the Stampeders. Sandro DeAngelis will come out now and try to put the Stamps on the board.
Hamilton Tiger Cat linebacking crew have got to be more aware tonight because of what happened last week about quarterbacks running the football. In this case, it would be Henry Burris. Last week, they gave up over 100 yards on quarterback draws alone against Saskatchewan. The linebackers are more aware tonight.
Talked about Burke Dales liking Hamilton. How about this guy? This guy hails from Niagara Falls. Sandro DeAngelis has made 32 of his last 35. He is Mr. Automatic. And the Stampeders, with only 1:40 to go, put the first points of this game on the board, thanks to Charleston Hughes.
Team off the special teams. And this Hamilton Tiger Cats, John Hufnagel knows they've been so close this year in so many games. Go back to week 3 versus Saskatchewan Roughriders, a 4-point loss there. They had Edmonton on the ropes. They lost by 6. At Labor Day, a short yardage attempt that didn't go. They lost by 3 there. Edmonton in week 11, they lose by 5 points. And then last week, that field goal goes in, they win that game. That's 5 different games. They win all 5. They have 8 wins, and they're hosting a playoff game. That's how close this football team has been this year.
How about this? 7 losses by a combined 27 points. Team could be going to the playoffs. Porter going deep down the sideline. Little tip drill. And unable to come up with it was Pat Woodcock. And close coverage from Milton Collins.
That's really a play that the Ticats have had success when they go to Precier Rodriguez. When they use him as the deep threat, he usually wins this jump ball right here, but Milton Collins wins it on Pat Woodcock. Of course, Woodcock a lot shorter than Rodriguez at 5'9", Rodriguez at 6'5".
Just over a minute in this opening quarter, dominated by the D so far on both sides. Offense is trying to get on track. Porter now to Rodriguez, and he was out of bounds. No catch, even though it was caught, because Precier Rodriguez was knocked out of bounds. No, Dwight Anderson in on the coverage.
Yeah, you're going to get a great look at it, and the bump and run on Dwight Anderson, the former Hamilton Tiger Cat, is going to work him towards the sideline and look back to the football. Nothing wrong with that. Now, Rodriguez can come back into play and catch it, but he caught it outside and on the white stripe.
As a matter of fact, that's exactly the play that Rodriguez did a few weeks ago against the Montreal Alouettes. Was bumped out of bounds, came back in and caught the football. Not so much this time. Setup. Stampeders looking for another block that time. And it looks like another penalty marker, a no yards call. So some more instant field position for the Stampeders. 44 seconds to go in the opening quarter. And how about the year that Henry Burris is having? Maybe his best season of all.
I think it is. I think without question it is. He's eliminated the mistakes, his previous best. You can see the numbers. He's on pace to crush those numbers. 36 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So the great touchdown interception ratio. He's also throwing in the run. but most importantly, I think he's matured and really has eliminated the key mistake, the fumble that he had, that problem early on last year, and the interception at the wrong time. Now he's got to win a playoff game.
Chance to get the West Division tonight. Burris. Ralph can't hang on to triple coverage that time. Ralph usually comes up with that football.
Having said that, now that Burris is struggling with this offense to get it going here tonight. I mean, this has been his best year without question. And Ralph, who you're right, who is sure-handed as they come, but he also heard footsteps coming from the outside. That was Lawrence Gordon, but this offense has not really got in sync here tonight. That's real low numbers for Henry Burris in the first quarter.
Coming off a week where he threw for 337 and 5 touchdowns. CFL Offensive Player of the Week, throwing down again. Here's the rush. Burris steps out of the pocket. Kenyon Rambo's first catch of the night is a first down. Rambo, his first 1,000-yard receiving season, and he came into tonight leading the league in receiving yards. That's the final play of the first quarter. Stampeders lead 3-0 and moving the ball. Well, where did those offensive numbers go for the Calgary Stampeders? In fact, where are the numbers, period? Brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh. Always.
Yeah, defensive struggle in that first quarter, and the 3 points for Calgary coming off the special teams, and really Henry Burris hasn't been able to get going. But you know one thing, the Calgary Stampeders with Henry Burris, their receiving core, you can't keep them down forever, and Hamilton's got to take advantage while they can. Hamilton
Tiger Cats offensively as well. We haven't seen much of Kenton Keith. We have been hearing that we're going to see a lot more, and I know he signed for the next couple of seasons, but for Kenton Keith, it's in many ways an audition as well.
Well, it really is. They want to evaluate Kenton Keith without question over the next couple of games, because he either becomes a real good asset that they could possibly move in the offseason, or he becomes a guy that they, build the running game, depending on what happens with Jesse Lumsden in the offseason, who will become a free agent. So lots of question marks with regards to that running back spot.
Stampeder offense again on the move thanks to the Rambo catch, and here's Reynolds. Big hole opened up. Reynolds explodes through that gap, and another first down.
Well, yeah, on the other hand, the running back for the Calgary Stampeders, no question marks there. That's Joffrey Reynolds, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League, and who's been played sparingly over the last 3 or 4 games. John Huffnagel has quietly tried to have Joffrey Reynolds take some reps off, play a little bit in the first half of games, and try and rest up. He's been injured.
Reynolds is straight on. 4 or 5 yards for the CFL rushing leader, but one thing that Henry Burris has this year for him, a lot of toys. A lot of toys to play with this year, including that backfield, and Joffrey Reynolds one of them.
Lots of bullets in the gun.
Yes.
No question. He has his pick, and there's only one football to spread around, but this is a focused group that looks like they're ready to take a real run in the playoffs, and as you mentioned, can lock up first place with a win here tonight against Hamilton.
Second down, Burris goes to the air, goes over the middle, knocked down and picked off. What a play by Markeith Knowlton, and running room, and Burris finally brings down Markeith Knowlton. There's a penalty flag on the far sideline. We'll tell you about it when we come back. Huge turnover for the Cats. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. October Friday night, fan appreciation night, and Markeith Knowlton's 4th pick of the season.
How about this defense? 5th interception for them. It's coming from that side of your screen, right to left. Here he comes on the crossing route. He trails Nick Lewis, and Markeith Knowlton cuts underneath. Wasn't touched down by contact, and then got the horse collar tackle from Henry Burris at the end to tack on another 15 yards.
Quentin Porter now going for Chris Bauman. Can't come up with it. Very tight coverage. The fans want an interference call, but no go there for Chris Bauman.
Quentin Porter would like the throw back, I'm sure. He's a little short on the throw and doesn't throw it out over the top. He looks off nicely, shows composure, has that lane, but he makes Bauman come back, and Lenny Walls is able to just sort of knock that one down. Fans wanted a penalty, but I thought that was good, no call.
Shea Rodriguez, the top of your screen. Porter has Rodriguez downfield, a fumbled football, and the Stampeders have it. Mike Labinjo has the football. There is a penalty flag. It was in the backfield. It might be holding, and it looks like it might be Calgary football.
Holding. Hamilton, number 62. That penalty's declined. First down.
Touche. Porter had Shea Rodriguez wide open downfield too.
Yeah, he sure did. There he is right there, Quentin Porter, and the holding call won't matter. That was in the middle on Marwan Hayes. He comes up, the ball just knocked out of his hands there, and Mike Labinjo right there. So the opportunity for Hamilton Tiger Cats, and as I mentioned, Ticats really need to take advantage of these opportunities against a very good Calgary offense, or else you can't keep Calgary's offense down forever.
Still only 3-0 early in the second quarter. Burris pulls it back on the play action, and Ryan Thelwell has the catch.
Back to that bread and butter play for the Calgary Stampeders, the replay where they ride Joffrey Reynolds with the ball in his stomach for a step or two, try and hold the defense, and then get Burris outside.
No huddle here for Henry Burris. Has those red contact lenses he often wears that match his helmet. It's not for aesthetics, but to diffuse the light. Helps him focus. There's Reynolds. Couldn't focus there on that football. Joffrey Reynolds a little dropsy.
Well, if Henry Burris wants to do what Saskatchewan did last week, that's the quarterback draw. It'll come down to the two players, the quarterback and Burris, and the middle linebacker Cornelius Anthony. On the quarterback draw, once that pocket is established, the defense loses two linebackers in coverage. That leaves it basically a one-on-one. Burris will run the draw, find a hole, and Cornelius Anthony has got to step up and stop him in that hole. Played better so far against him.
No huddle again, Burris to Nick Lewis. First down and more for Lewis, who's once again reached the 1,000-yard mark. 5 straight seasons with the Calgary Stampeders, and Nick Lewis, again, one of those luxury items that Henry Burris can go to.
Henry Burris calling the plays on the line of scrimmage, and this is right where he likes to run that quarterback draw, especially when he gets down inside the 30-yard line.
No huddle on this drive so far on every play. Burris, wide side of the field. Once again, a fumble here. Robinson picked it up after Nick Lewis looked like he had the first down. A quick whistle there.
Yeah, I couldn't tell from the far side of the field. Here's Nick Lewis, and whether or not he was down before the ball came out. Hit. Tough to tell from that angle. Marcel Belfay has the challenge flag out. Let's take a look. This is a better angle. It's going to be a close one now. The officials and Tom Higgins has said to me many times this year that on a fumble, on a play like this, that the player has to lose control of the ball away from his body. If it's moving around in his hand a little bit, it doesn't constitute loss of possession.
Ken Lazarick coming over to chat with Marcel Belfay.
Hamilton is challenging the play, saying that it was a fumble.
Now, there has been different interpretations when we've had different head referees in some of these cases, but basically, this is the point. If the ball comes loose and is away from the receiver's body before his knee or any part of his body other than his hands or his feet touch, it is a fumble. But the ball can move around in his arm, and if it's not away from his body, then it's still possession and he's down by contact. So the hand doesn't matter. Is the ball out and away? And I don't know if it ever does before his arm and body hit the ground.
Another look, and this is what Ken Lazarick is seeing under the hood right now.
And this one may be one of those ones that comes down to interpretation.
Yeah. That's kind of a pick-em right there.
Well, you know, again, has he lost the ball from his body?
Like right there is getting knocked out.
It's loose, but it's not away. It's still in his arm. And then his right knee touches.
This is one of those tough calls, even with video replay.
Yeah, and a bit of interpretation necessary. I mean, you know, you could put probably 8 different officials in the booth, and you might get a 4-4 split on how they might look at that.
And especially with slow motion, having it available, but imagine it, you know, live action, how that is interpreted, and that could have been interpreted so many different ways without video replay.
My guess is the play will stand as called, because again, you have to find enough evidence to overturn, because the play was called a catch and down by contact for Nick Lewis. Again, and you always know by the more time they spend under the hood, the tougher it is a decision to make.
Well, here comes the verdict.
After reviewing the play, the Calgary receiver's knee was down when he fumbled. It will be Calgary's ball. Second out.
Thank you, Mr. Lazarick.
And you know, I understand Marcel Belfay's, you know, concern there, and if the ball was moving around in his hand, and that's a bit of a misconception that constitutes loss of possession, because it really doesn't. He still has it in his arm there when his knee touches, and that, according to Tom Higgins, has told me many times this year, no possession.
Former Stampeder coach who now works closely with the officials, of course.
Yeah, the head of officiating at the league office.
So second down, that is a first down, should move the chains. Henry Burris hanging on.
And while we have a second, we want to say hello to Boris Velchek. Igor, who just got out of hospital.
Yeah,
he was in a
accident.
Hockey accident and injured in his eye. He was supposed to work this crew tonight, so the crew says hello to Igor and get well soon.
Yeah, get well. Ryan Thelwell, the sideline. Bodies down there. And again, close to the red zone for the Stampeders. And again, all the offensive prowess of these Calgary Stampeders. We have not seen it on display as we did last week against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But once they start rolling, there is no let up from the Stamps usually. They just haven't been able to get it rolling here tonight.
And they haven't really pushed the ball deep yet. They've been using Joffrey Reynolds a little out of the backfield, that controlled passing game.
Out of the backfield. This time, John Cornish. Very close to the touchdown, to the 1-yard line for Cornish.
You know, that play looked pretty easy for John Cornish. That was a tough catch out of the backfield, as Cornish is right here and he's going to come out in that direction. He comes out here and has to go down and go low to get to that ball while he's running to his left. That was not an easy catch for him to make, and that would have put him in third and a long yard. This is by far Henry Burris' best drive of the night.
You said it too, a ball control type of drive here. It's over 9 minutes to go before halftime as the Stampeders look to punch one into the end zone for the first major tonight. Johnson and Joffrey Reynolds caps off that drive with the touchdown.
Joffrey Reynolds spies the hole before he even gets the football. Just by alignment, you can see the gap that Reynolds is going to run through right there. And he can see that by alignment that it's going to be a defensive back, Chris Thompson, who has to step up. And you can see the big hole that is created when you get that big block.
Teo Johnson so supplying one of those blocks. Joffrey Reynolds with his 11th touchdown of the season. Stampeders now with a field goal and a major score and a 10-0 lead. Second quarter at Ivor Stadium in Hamilton. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Stampeders. Impressive drive. Points tonight, all resulting from turnovers. First a Charleston Hughes block kick, then a field goal, and that Mike Labinjo recovered fumble by Quentin Porter results in Joffrey Reynolds' 11th major of the season. Here's a little fake reverse on the return. Trey Smith faked to Pat Woodcock, and Smith got some pretty good yardage on the return.
It did start with that turnover, as you mentioned, Rod, when it turned the football over. The Hamilton Tiger Cats got a turnover of their own. Were in scoring range, then fumbled it back to Calgary, who went to work on offense. Nick Lewis a couple of times, once to the left, once to the right out of that backfield, and then John Cornish, a nice catch off his knee to get it down to the one where Joffrey Reynolds finishes it off. You're not going to keep this Calgary offense down for long. This is an important drive right here for Hamilton.
Tiger Cats have not been able to move the football so far here tonight. Kenton Keith, only a couple carries here. And again, Keith, only his third game, but in Montreal suffered a nasty cut to his arm. At first, some people thought that maybe he had broken his arm, and actually a piece of Matthew Prue's chin strap was embedded in his arm at the time, and he was...
That's not a pretty image.
That's what he said. He said he...
Yeah, he looked down. Yeah. You won't forget that soon. And he had to wait out last week because of it.
Porter looks for Keith again. First down here, depending on the spot. It looks like they're going to give him a favorable spot.
You notice what I've noticed about Kenton Keith in this game, and maybe it's partly due to that injury, but maybe just getting back into the rhythm. He looks like he's making 2 or 3 too many moves. And you know, sometimes it's better just to hit the hole as a running back and then make one move or a move in the open field when you have some space. It looks like Kenton Keith's trying to make the big play every single time he touches the ball, and because of that, Calgary defenders are able to rally to him.
Former Rough Riders spent last year with the Indianapolis Colts. Back in Hamilton. Porter now faces some heat, has to get out and just throws it away. And with more on Hamilton's running game, let's go to the sideline and join our fullback, Dwayne Ford.
Well, guys, you guys have been looking for a little bit more of Kenton Keith, and certainly the feeling is the same from some of the Hamilton offensive linemen who would like to see this team run the ball more. But the fact is, since Marcel Belfoy took over as head coach and has had a little bit more control of the play calling, the emphasis here has been on the passing game. This game is in the hands of Quentin Porter, and it's going to stay that way throughout.
It is interesting, though, considering for the first half of the season, they were a run-first team.
Got a lot of running backs. Speaking of running, Quentin Porter takes off. Gets down with a little hook slide finally at the end, and it looks like he's got a first down. But you're right, you know, they're going to an aerial game. But let's talk about the future down the road for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They've got a ton of running backs. If they're going to go to the air attack, they're going to have to start using some of these guys.
Well, they will, and it'll provide balance. I know that Marcel Belfoy would like to continue to evaluate Quentin Porter. That's part of the process, but they have a surplus of running backs with Trey Smith. A nice little run here, as a matter of fact, from a quarterback who can run a little on his own, Quentin Porter.
Into Calgary territory. First down. Going for Rodriguez on the sideline. Rodriguez, there's a penalty interference call on Brandon Browner.
Yeah.
That flag maybe should have come even a little earlier.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is interference. He is going to complain about this one, but he actually grabs the shoulder pad and jersey. I watched it right in front of us here from our booth here at the Iverwin Stadium, is directly below us, our location, and there was a definite pull. That's the end of the play. It was a little earlier on that Brandon Browner grabbed the jersey and shoulder pads and Precier Rodriguez, yanked him. It's over to the right of your screen. That's when he pulled him and actually changed his direction and turned his shoulders back, and that is interference. I think this is a good call on the right one.
What a great matchup that is to watch Brandon Browner, who is a tallish DB, against Precier Rodriguez. They're not matched up this time, but great one-on-one and play action for Porter now. Porter, no time here, has to get out of the pocket. Looks like a holding call coming against Hamilton. Porter unable to find any of his targets.
And Marcel Belfoy will go in and remind Quentin Porter, the young quarterback, that you have a certain amount of time in the pocket. If it's not there, there's nothing wrong with throwing it away. There is a huge gamble in rolling to your left, trying to throw it over the middle to your
Holding
right.
Hamilton, number 65, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And in cases like this, that call on Charles Thomas, in cases like this, Sometimes just throwing the ball away when you don't have an open target and lining up 2nd and 10 is the right decision. That's risky.
Well, now 1st and 20, and they were close to the red zone, but now at the 35-yard line. Porter trying to put some points on the board for his Cats. This time to his right, making the catch, but not even to the initial line of scrimmage, Chris Davis. Davis is getting a close look here, Suits. Last couple of games, former Montreal Alouette. Tony Miles, of course, started the season with the Ticats, but he's been shelved, it looks like, for the rest of the year as they take a look at some other guys.
Chris Davis, a couple of catches last week against Saskatchewan.
Porter now, here comes the rush. Over the middle, Davis makes the catch, and it's a 1st down. And that play was very similar to the play against Saskatchewan last week when he had the touchdown.
Well, and you know what he does here? He's going to start out here and work his way into the middle. And when he does, he gets inside position on Lenny Walls, who doesn't have any safety help in the middle. The defense is designed to leave it open for Calgary on that play, and he didn't get inside position.
2nd down.
Well, this one will come back too. Penalty against Hamilton. Offside against the Tiger Cats.
Oh boy.
Oh man, just when they had got close to the 10-yard line. Some bullet holes in those cleats here tonight. Just over 4 minutes to go before halftime. Over the middle for Bauman. And he's short of the 1st down. About 5 yards shy, and so Nick Setta will come out, and the Cats will try to get some points on the board here as they trail 10-0.
Boy, that's the biggest offside 5-yard penalty you can get. When you convert it after a holding call, you go back to basically after the holding call, you're 1st and 20. You convert that and are called on the offside. That's the biggest 5-yard penalty you're going to get. Now Nick Setta has to come out.
Earlier had his field goal attempt blocked by Charleston Hughes. This time the hold down, the kick up, and it is through. The Cats on the board here. They trail by 7. You're watching Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN. Cats on the board thanks to Nick Setta. Let's go to the sideline and join Sarah Orlesky once again.
Rod, Nick Setta wanted to do something to give back to the community of Hamilton. He's now in his 2nd year here, so he created Setta's Kicks for Kids, which puts shoes onto the feet of underprivileged children here in Hamilton. Well, the way that it's working is that for every field goal that he makes 40 yards or over, he's found a sponsor that will donate money, and it all goes to a fund that at the end of the year allows kids to go out and pick shoes up. Well, on this Tuesday, they're going to the Reebok store. They are going, over 80 kids will get to select shoes, and he said that his father will call him after he's missed a field goal and will say, "What are you doing? You're cheating the kids." He says it adds pressure to him because he says he's not just getting points for the Ticats, he's also doing something for the kids.
Well, good on Nick Setta, the former star at Notre Dame. Last year, Nick Setta was responsible for over 53% of the Tiger Cat points, and I think that says a lot about also the Tiger Cat offense.
Yeah.
This year, the Ticats have put more points on the board via the touchdown route, and so he's only converting about 30%.
Yeah, and having a very good year. I mean, just shy of 80%. That's last season's numbers, and this year he's 25 or 26 of 36 now after that last one.
He's giving shoes to some kids who need them, and that's a great thing. And I'll tell you, again, there are some guys here in this Hamilton community, and it's, you know, they've been doing a lot of losing the last few years, but they've also been giving a lot of stuff back to the community. Marwan Hage, you think of. Not McKay Osher does stuff here too. Casey Pritters, who's not playing, has his own little foundation. So, and their head coach, Marcel Belfay, who has conducted some camps in northern Quebec during the season. They certainly like to give back. Burris wants to take off with it. Brought down. 3-minute warning on the field. Burris dropped. Stamps lead by 7. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport.
Quick 2 and out here for the Calgary Stampeders. They'll have to get the ball back to Hamilton, who have lots of time in this first half. Trey Smith has a bit of a bruised knee, but he will return this punt. Had a bit of a return on his last one.
2.5 to go before halftime. Burke Dales. Kick at the 10-yard line. Smith launches one tackle, and so Quentin Porter and the Tiger Cats looking to march for some more points here. Coming up at the half. Schultze and Jocko, Matty and Dave Randorf. Rona at the half coming up. There is a happy hot dog salesman. You know why? That's a hot dog eating contest. There it is right there.
I was going to say.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Okay. Take it easy, buddy.
I was going to say, if that's the salesman, it's one for you, two for me, I think is the...
You know something? You know what I'd put in that contest?
Yeah.
The guy on the sideline. Dwayne Ford. I've never seen anyone eat as much as that man.
Is that right?
Oh, my God. He could eat that guy. Davis. His forward advancement at one point was close to the first down, but then retreated a little bit. So it'll be second down now. No, Dwayne can.
He puts him back, huh?
God.
We could enter him as a TSN representative of the hot dog eating contest.
And he stays slim and trim, but you know, he just.
All right.
There he goes. Look at him.
He's buff down there on the sideline.
Don't eat that microphone. There it is. I'm telling you. Porter trying to hang in. Look out now, and he's dropped. Another sack here tonight. Miguel Robade yells timber.
Calgary Stampeders will take advantage of Quentin Porter the longer he holds the football. I know that sounds like an obvious statement, but if he throws it away there, that first read was well covered. He didn't have an open receiver. You mentioned it right off the top, and I know you and Dwayne have talked about it this year covering the Ticats with Quentin Porter. If he can learn to that timing and knowing when that imaginary clock in the back of his mind runs out, get the ball out of his hands, even if he's throwing it away. Those are big losses that he avoids.
Well, the most success that Porter has had this year, when he's had success, it's been that Calvillo-like offense when he's got the quick reads and fire away. Kind of what John Huffnagel used to do too in his playing days. Is Seta goes back to his 2-yard line. Minute 45 to go. Low snap and a line drive shot, and this is going to be very good field position for the Stampeders. Now this is the second meeting of the season between these two teams.
Joffrey Reynolds, who has a touchdown tonight, likes to play against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He had 3 touchdowns in their last meeting, and he signed his portrait. The coach one time tell me that at the end of a football game, you're like a painter. And you painted your canvas. Will you sign your painting at the end of the game? And Joffrey Reynolds can sign his painting at the end of the last game.
Stamps won 43-16 handily. Kenyon Rambo on the far sideline. And that will be another first down. Minute 33 to go in this second quarter.
And how long can this Hamilton defense hold on? I mean, they've been playing well even during sudden change when Calgary's got instant field position. They've already come up with a couple of turnovers, yet their offense hasn't capitalized, and Calgary's got so many weapons.
Reynolds in the backfield, was in motion. Takes it now. Look out, Joffrey Reynolds. That is why he is the CFL rushing leader, folks.
Hamilton Tiger Cats defensively at times will will give up a gap and show you an opening, and then the idea is that they will close that opening once the ball is snapped, and you'd think it would be a guy like Cornelius Anthony who would slide from the middle there, but you see how he jumps right into the middle of the line, and that natural opening by design is then open when the ball is snapped.
Reynolds again, right side.
Did that make sense, or was it as clear as mud? Basically, what I'm saying is sometimes by design, a defensive coordinator like Denny Crehan will leave an opening and they'll say, go ahead and run it in there, knowing that they're going to fill that hole with a guy like the linebacker Cornelius Anthony. But Anthony either makes a mistake and steps up in the line, he gets caught, or by design that there's a weakness in the defense. Either way, that huge hole for Joffrey to play a goal.
5 receivers set to the 5-yard line. Catch is made and down to the 5-yard line again. CFL receiving leader in yardage continues to pile it up here tonight, Kenyon Rambo.
And I don't care how good your secondary is, Kenyon Rambo's going to get his catches. He's ahead of G. Roy Simon, the all-time list, and you think that race, or the list this year, I should say, you think that race will go down to the last game of the season, where the two will face each other.
You know what's going to be tough to pick this year? The all-star team for receivers.
Oh, yeah. I know he's on it.
Oh, yeah. Looking for the end zone. Joffrey Reynolds, his second touchdown of the night. Reynolds ran one in earlier. No problem. This time he was wide open out of the backfield on a little dump pass, and he has touchdown number 12.
And all they had to do, the Calgary Stampeders, is wait till Reynolds gets past the line of scrimmage. Henry Burris can see that Cornelius Anthony, who's not had a good series at middle linebacker, not only got caught there and didn't get out to cover Joffrey Reynolds, but once he got there, he overran him and didn't make the tackle.
Only a few ticks left on the clock here in the opening half, of the Stampeders starting to run now. 17-3, and boy, the word maybe tonight might be economical, and maybe even another word, efficient, for Henry Burris.
He's starting to get more opportunities, and you give Henry Burris with these many weapons the opportunity, sooner or later your defense is going to break down, and that's what happens here. Cornelius Anthony, who's played well. I mean, this is a guy who stepped in and played well. Watch him get caught in the mix here as he steps back in his drop. Now he has got to get outside, and you can see how inside Teo Johnson doesn't let him get through that to the outside, and then he overruns Joffrey Reynolds. He cuts back on him, and the ball crosses the plane.
Joffrey Reynolds now moving closer to the touchdown lead of Jamel Richardson, who has 15. He's got 12. Let's go down to Dwayne Ford.
Hey guys, that touchdown was one that didn't have to happen. On the last punt by Nick Setta, Dave Easley, the special teams coach, was trying to get his attention at the last minute before the ball was snapped to tell him to take a safety. You look, that touchdown was given up with 8 seconds left. If they kick that ball off and make Calgary go the length of the field, they're only giving up 2 instead of giving up 7 right before the half.
Yeah, a couple times tonight we've been surprised that the kickers did not take 2. That was one occasion there by Nick Setta. It was not a very good kick. A little pooch kick now here, which could be the final play before the half. And Woodcock trying to burst outside, and he's sandwiched, brought down at the 30, so 1 second left.
Yeah, that's another example of the 20-second huddle in the Canadian Football League, even if you're going from offense to special teams, and how quick the coaches have to be ready to make those calls. And Nick Setta punts the ball. They give up a major rather than the 2 points. Big hit on the special teams. I'm sure Quentin Porter will just kneel down here.
Yeah, first half bereft of any big plays. But the Calgary Stampeders, impressive as they look to put the lock on the Western Division here tonight. First place on the line for them. They lead 17-3. Rona at the half coming up. Back in Hamilton, TSN, exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League, proud home of the Grey Cup. Sarah Orlesky right now with Hamilton head coach Marcel Belfait.
Coach, late in that second quarter, did you give any consideration to giving up the 2 points as opposed to kicking from deep within your own end?
Yeah, I gave it some consideration, but our defense was playing well, and Nick was kicking the ball well. I don't want to give him 3 points plus the ball with 2.5 minutes left.
In the second half, do you look to utilize the ground game anymore, an area that's been so successful for you this season?
Yeah, you know, we need to stay on the field, and we need to take advantage of our opportunities. We got down here twice and came only out with 3 points back inside their 25-yard line. So we need to stay on the field, and we also need to take care of our opportunities.
Thanks so much, Coach.
You're welcome.
Marcel Belfait, only one win as the head coach since taking over from Charlie Taft. Fired midway through this season. 17-3. The Hamilton Tiger Cats trail the Calgary Stampeders. There weren't a lot of big offensive plays, but there were some big defensive plays. A couple of major turnovers that led to scores.
Yeah, and John Huffnagel's offense got going late in that second quarter, but I would agree 100% with what Marcel Belfait just said, which was they had opportunities when that Calgary offense was bogged down in the first quarter. They were inside on the Calgary 21, on the Calgary 32, and came away with 3 points in those 2 possessions. Not good enough when you have as good a team as Calgary down and off to a slow start. You've got to take advantage, and they didn't in that first half.
Now that running game, too, is so successful for Hamilton, but against the top run defense in the Canadian Football League, the Calgary Stampeders, is Trey Smith. Batters his way forward to the 46-yard line. So good field position to begin for Quinton Porter and the Tiger Cats as we take a look at what both quarterbacks did in the first half.
I think Henry Burris had less than 50 yards passing in the first quarter. So most of the passing yards for him in the second. Quinton Porter, an interesting point that Jock Climby made at halftime when he said he's facing bump and run coverage for the first time and holding the ball a little bit longer because of it.
See if he gets some better reads here. Right to the ground right away, but again, best rush defense against the best rush offense here tonight. Again, Kenton Keith, who was missing in action last week and has hardly played for Hamilton.
Well, that time I mentioned early in the first that he was making too many moves. That time Charleston Hughes shut the door. I mean, he had to make a move on Charleston Hughes there. And what a campaign he's putting together in 2008. 5 quarterback sacks. Mentioned 61 tackles, which is among the leaders in the CFL, but certainly leads his defensive line by a long shot. 11 tackles for losses.
And a block kick here tonight. Porter now is going to take off with it. Trying to get to that first down marker, and he gets there. He fumbled the football after contacting the ground, and the official is giving him a spot. We're going to have to see where that nose of the football is. It looks very close to a first down.
Because that time Quinton Porter elected not to hook slide and to dive forward, he will be very close. In fact, it looks like he may have it or just inches away, but scrambled out. Charleston Hughes, this time they have to try and help out on him with a little bit of Chris Bauman to chip him. He gets high because of it. Shannon James tries to run him down there, and Porter, that dive forward got him that close.
Well, just a few inches away, so it will be second down for Porter and the Cats.
If you're picking a nominee for outstanding defensive player for Calgary this year, Charleston Hughes or Shannon James would got to be tops on your list. Shannon James been pretty consistent all season long for sure.
So 3rd and inches here. Porter goes forward and has the first down. Flag flies. A week ago, you and I bumped into Quinton Porter after the game at the airport. Not too many quarterbacks you see wandering around in an airport lounge carrying the reading material this young man was carrying. Usually it's Sports Illustrated or a variety of other magazines.
Offside, Calgary, number 97, 5-yard penalty, first down.
He's a guy who's into the Zen and all that stuff.
Yeah, he was looking within. What was the
Buddha.
Yeah. Whatever, you know, to each his own. Yeah, to each his own.
In the moment. He's a smart guy, earthy guy.
I just see, you know, we go back to that defensive side, Rod, and Charleston Hughes who is putting together a campaign where you almost have to consider him as a defensive nominee out of the Calgary Stampeders, and now you can add a big stat in the special teams for Charleston Hughes in this game tonight, because he has that block kick. He recovered that as well, and I mentioned his tackles for losses, 11 on the season, which is way ahead of anyone else in the CFL.
Second down, going for Bauman. He can't get to it. Throwing football out to that far side of the field. Bauman couldn't run under it, so once again, the Cats will have to kick.
And remember, Charleston Hughes didn't start game 1 as they worked him in slowly. Last week, he had a sack. The Calgary Stampeders really handled Winnipeg fairly easily.
Seta angling one. This one's going to bounce into the end zone, so the Cats will get 1 point out of this, as he was trying to angle it for the coffin corner, so make the score 17-4 now as we step aside and come back to Hamilton. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup. When there's popcorn popping,
you can almost smell it.
Dwayne's close by. There it is. Rod Black, Glenn Suter, Dwayne Ford, Sarah Orleski with you tonight at Iowa Wynn Stadium, Wendy's Friday Night Football. Henry Burris has to escape the pressure down the sideline, and they are saying that is a completion, or are they? One official saying yes, the other saying no. Brett Ralph made the catch.
And Jeff Tisdale is saying to Marcel Belfait, throw the challenge flag because I was breaking on it and I think he's out of bounds. Well, let's take a look. First of all, Henry Burris bought some time because Markeith Knowlton had him in the backfield. He read it perfectly, came off the edge and had him. And a little move there by Henry Burris got it to the outside. Let's take a look at Brett Ralph was in, though. That's the key. He catches it. Now he's got the 1 foot, and that one toe looks like it's inside to me.
Wow, what a great catch. And he's got it. And there is a challenge flag that has been thrown by Marcel Belfait, but I will tell you, that is a great angle.
And he maintained possession.
I don't know about you, that's right in front of us down here. When he first initially caught it, I didn't think so, but what a great catch by the guy we like to call 7-11 because he's always open, Brett Ralph. His first catch of the night right along the sideline.
Now, Belfait used a challenge that
Hamilton's challenged the completion of the pass.
he used a challenge in the first half that didn't work in his favor. The play was not overturned. That was the fumble, or the possible fumble by Nick Lewis, which stood. And here's a different angle of it.
Oh, is there a little space between that foot?
Well,
and
the only question being here, Rod, is not necessarily foot. I think the foot is in bounds. But did that foot come up before he caught the ball? Because if it came up, then the other one becomes the foot of question. So here he's got it. Now he's got it. Now, is that foot still planted? I think it is. So that's possession, 1 foot in bounds. You only need one in the CFL, first of all. And you could see the green grass, or artificial grass, in between his foot and that white stripe. Now the question was, did he catch it and still have the foot on the ground? Now, it's not in his hands yet. It is now. So he's got the ball. That foot is still down on the ground, because if he lifted that foot up before the ball hit his hands, then it would have been his left foot that they would have looked at, and he would have been well out of bounds.
After reviewing the play, the Calgary receiver's foot was in bounds. It is a completed pass. It's Calgary's ball. First down.
Marcel's starting to hate those yellow flags, isn't he?
Well, here's the thing, though. The way the system works is that the coaches up in the booth will help the head coach on the field, who obviously can't see the opposite side, to make a decision there. And I'm wondering, though, if Marcel Belfait in that case got talked into it by Jeff Tisdale a little bit.
Might have been a little quick trigger and too quick. We're in a challenge. 17-4 the score. Calgary Stampeders here in Hamilton tonight, looking to clinch first place in the CFL West with a victory. An automatic first round bye. And will host the West Division final if they can get the win here. Joffrey Reynolds, the lane open again.
The veteran, you heard Sarah Orlesky talk about this offensive line, and Jeff Pilon, who is the veteran of that group right here. He's going to make the key block to allow Joffrey Reynolds a little bit of running room and get that good production on first down. That's called a cut block. It's legal, and it's very effective when you go down to the legs of a defensive lineman and cut the legs out from underneath him. Open up that hole for your running back.
Second and short yardage. Burris right behind Rob Lazio at center and should have it. A lot should be said, too. You know, you go back a year, Rob Lazio involved in that trade for Wes Cates. Everybody said, hey, you know, Saskatchewan won that deal. They got Wes Cates. Frankly, Wes Cates wasn't part of the backfield for Calgary, and he's obviously done very well for Saskatchewan. But how about some sweet vindication as well for Rob Lazio and what he has meant to the Calgary Stampeders being part of that deal?
Well, yeah, and you almost, because of the importance of Rob Lazio in the middle of the two young guards and Jesse Newman and Dimitri Shumpaz, you almost can't say that this was a huge win in the trade by Saskatchewan anymore.
Burris now down the sideline for Rambo, and it was behind him.
I know the numbers would indicate that. I mean, you look at Wes Cates, you say, wow, that's a guy that you would put, if he didn't get hurt, he's a front runner for outstanding player. You don't have numbers to compare with Rob Lazio because he's a lineman. He's an offensive lineman. But you think about a guy in the middle of two young guards and the communication that's necessary. Rob Lazio is key to them coming together in a hurry.
And again, a team that is 11-5.
Yeah, in the West.
Burris, quick fire. Jermaine Copeland, there's a penalty flag, and it looks like a pass interference call. Very tight coverage on Copeland.
It was, and on these plays, if the defensive back grabs the shoulder of Copeland coming over the middle and pulls him.
Forward pass interference. Hamilton, number 3. Automatic first down.
If he grabs and pulls him, in other words, turns his shoulders, it's pass interference. Let's take a look, and you be the judge. Come from the right of your screen. I'll show you when he comes into the picture. There he is there. And if he turns the shoulder, and it looked like he did, it's pass interference, and that's what's the call. Good call.
Reynolds right, Reynolds left, Reynolds up the middle here tonight. The rushing leader continues to pile up some yardage.
66 yards rushing. You look at Joffrey Reynolds' last couple of games. The last 2 weeks, he's had 14 carries in both of those games, but been under 50 yards in both because he's come out after those 14 carries in the first 3 quarters.
Burris backpedals. Oh, nice catch. And again, a first down with all that forward momentum for Nick Lewis.
You know, the Ticats secondary is not giving up the big play to Calgary. And now the Stampeders offensively have said, okay, if you're not going to give up the big play, no problem. We'll go to Joffrey Reynolds. We'll throw it underneath to Nick Lewis. And we'll continue to move the chains and keep the defense out here.
Inching closer to the red zone. And Sasha Lancaster,
yeah,
the newcomer, and this guy's been so, look at, he's got the Warrior paint on tonight. This guy is so jacked up. And we had heard his only problem has been this week that he is a little jumpy.
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting story because Bob Obilovich went to look for a rush in when he was working for the Lions and saw Sasha Lancaster.
Offside, Hamilton, number 55. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
And basically said to Wally Buono, I found the rush in. I think you want to look at it. Sasha Lancaster. And then Lancaster had some family issues he had to deal with and couldn't report. And Bob Obilovich went after that and found Cameron Wake.
And now you know the rest of the story. There's Cornish again. Around the left side. Down to the 5-yard line. John Cornish, that's twice tonight, close to the red zone, that he's been given the call on a little counter play, and it's worked perfectly.
Well, the guy who makes the block is going to be Teo Johnson, who's right there, number 86. He comes out and he opens up the lane for John Cornish by collapsing the contained man for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Cornish hits it up inside of that block.
Cornish out of New Westminster, BC. First and goal for Burris. Looking for Copeland, has it in a touchdown. Number 38 for Henry Burris. Touchdown toss of the year and a little dance with Ben Sankey on the sideline.
Yeah, it's becoming pretty methodical for Henry Burris now as he just sort of works away at this defense, finding the little weaknesses underneath and taking advantage. That time Jeff Tisdale tried to jump it, gambled at the football, and had the best seat in the house to watch that touchdown.
Stampeders started very slowly here tonight, little flat to begin with, but they are starting to really roll now. And the Hamilton defense, quite simply, has been on the field too much tonight, running on fumes. Copeland with his 7th touchdown of the season, 24-4 Stamps. Week 18 in the Canadian Football League continues tomorrow in Regina, Edmonton, Saskatchewan, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Followed by the Toronto Argonauts in BC. Don Matthews still searching for win number 1.
We're underrated receivers, so overrated, huh? He said it was overrated. The worst overrated, actually. We're just getting started.
Jermaine Copeland. Little dish on the sideline. After another little trip into the end zone. Trey Smith trying to find a seam. Oh, and what a tackle there. Special teams doing a nice job here tonight, and the Calgary Stampeders with a 20-point lead now.
And that starts to take the Hamilton Tiger Cats out of that thought that they're going to get the running game more involved. I'm certain they'll try and mix it in, but it'll be more of a second thought, I'm sure now. They have to push the ball down the field, take some more chances, and try and get back. And that's how it can snowball on you, too, by the way. Start to push the ball, and that's when it can snowball in a hurry either direction.
Well, now it's going to be a wet ball as well because it's starting to rain here in Hamilton. It was in the forecast. Order on the sideline, and there's Chris Bauman with the catch. Little drizzle here at Iverwin Stadium tonight.
Quentin Porter buys some time here with his legs. He gets a block in the middle from Kenton Keith. He picks up the blitz, and Keith hangs on. Kenton Keith taking out Dwayne Carpenter there and allowing Quentin Porter a chance to get outside and complete that because Bauman came from the opposite side.
Good blocks there, but play action along the sideline again for Bauman.
There are some building blocks in Hamilton. There are some building blocks. There's Bauman, a good Canadian receiver, solid Canadian receiver. We talked about Precier Rodriguez already. They have a wealth of talent at running back. And they have 2 quarterbacks that I think that could, given the right circumstances, they can win with. One, Quentin Porter, the other, of course, Casey Printers. And I know a lot of people have completely written him off.
Porter standing in. And the catch made. Completion to Precier Rodriguez. Moving closer again to a 1,000-yard season here. In his first year in the Canadian Football League, certainly going to be a nominee for Eastern Rookie. Casey Printers, and you're right, a lot of people have written him off. I know a lot of people in this town are wondering about his future. He is a very expensive guy to have on the sideline.
Yeah, maybe they adjust that. Maybe that can be adjusted in the offseason. Who knows? But, if you have both those quarterbacks in at training camp, Quentin Porter, who's shown that he can win. I mean, this team beat Montreal at home with Quentin Porter starting. And we know what Casey Printers did with the BC Lions when he had a veteran receiving corps, a veteran offensive line, and a veteran coach. So he had success in BC in 2004. I know that seems like a long time ago for Hamilton fans when they consider Casey Printers. But both of them in the right offense competing for the starting job. And if you can adjust that contract, and I don't know if that's possible, but if you could,
well, brought down Chris Davis on the reverse. He's looking to throw that football.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. A little trick play here from Hamilton, and it looked like Chris Davis was going to throw the ball, but there was one guy in between all of that was saying, this is not going to work, guys, and that was that guy right there, Charleston Hughes, because his penetration ruins it. He's going to step up and penetrate. He pushes in the inside, and then outside Dwayne Carpenter cuts it off and doesn't give him time to throw the ball.
Seta underneath this one. Smiling Hank, Henry Burris, and the Stampeders back at work when we come back. Well, the Stampeders in cruise control right now. Let's go to the sideline once again. Here's Sarah.
Rod, should the Stampeders hold on and win this game, the question will inevitably be, do they rest or limit some of the play of their starters in their final regular season game next week? John Hufnagel says he's thought about it. He hasn't talked to the coaches yet. But in short order, no, he doesn't believe so, because he thinks that they will have that week to rest with the bye, and they want to win against BC. I asked him whether or not Kenyon Rambo and Joffrey Reynolds, the fact that they could finish as the league's leading rusher and receiver, whether or not that could factor into his decision. The short answer, no.
So, yeah, well, there's the rub, too. You know, if you do win, as we take a look at them, if you do win, Glenn Suter, and you've seen this down the road before, you do win and you do start resting guys.
Yeah.
You got another week bye. I guess if you're going to play, you want to play them cautiously, play them carefully.
I think, I think what John Hufnagel is saying, what Sarah was mentioning there is that you have them prepare and start the game and play the first half as if it was just another game.
Rambo, another big gainer here.
And then that way they're preparing. They're preparing mentally and physically in the week of practice going into that BC game. They want to beat their rivals, the BC Lions, who they may play in the playoffs. And they're prepared to play so they don't start to play cautiously, because when you do that, you get hurt. I wouldn't be surprised if they lock up this game and lock up first that they don't see the fourth quarter, those guys. But they're in races, and I know those races for tops in receiving and rushing don't matter to John Hufnagel all that much.
Biggest race is what you want at the end of the year is that gray mud. Joffrey Reynolds outside. Reynolds with a lane now to the 30, down to the 20-yard line. His biggest rush of the night. Joffrey Reynolds found Main Street.
He starts out in motion from one side. He sort of starts to the left of Henry Burris in the shotgun. Looks like he wants to go back to the left and then bounces outside of Cornelius Anthony. Cornelius Anthony last game had 8 tackles in Saskatchewan. It's been a short week, and Reynolds has got the best of the middle linebacker in this game here tonight.
50-yard scamper. Joffrey Reynolds may wrap up the rushing title this week. Where he's going. Burris going for Rambo, who got knocked down, and there is an interference call in that play. Rambo got tripped up. Alain Kashima got to Burris.
Lawrence Gordon was in coverage and is in communication with the officials, pleading his case, which last time I checked has never mattered.
Never worked. And in vain here.
And this one, again, there's been a couple of pass interference calls, and I think that one is probably as obvious as it gets. As Lawrence Gordon pushes down, and maybe Rambo stumbled a little bit at the same time, but doesn't matter. Gordon had made contact and Rambo went down.
On an uncatchable ball, it's a 10-yard penalty. First down.
The officials have been bang on pass interference tonight. I think they've got the calls right every single time, and that was a good decision to say the ball was not catchable even though the contact was made, and maybe that's what Gordon was trying to explain. Okay, I pushed him down, but there's no way he was catching that anyway. Either way, it's a 10-yard penalty.
Well, again, the Ticat defense has been pushed to the limit as they have all season here tonight. Been on the field a lot. Calgary's owned the time of possession here, owned the scoreboard here, and looking to own the CFL West by the end of the night. Two and a half to go in the third quarter. Burris is going to call for a timeout. Didn't like the formation.
And Joffrey Reynolds now with that big run really pads his stats. He had 400-yard games coming into tonight. 119 rushing tonight gives him his 5th 100-yard rushing game for the Calgary Stampeders in 2008. He is now 3 behind Willie Burton on the Calgary list. Willie Burton had 22 100-yard games, and that will be the 19th for Joffrey Reynolds, who also has found the end zone a couple of times, one through the ground and one through the air. And looks like he's getting healthy at the right time.
And the Joffrey Reynolds show here tonight. May he get the call again here? Yes, he does. Couple of yards.
Dimitri Sumpas with a big drive block there as the offensive lineman, with Joffrey Reynolds having success get a chance to fire off the football and go and attack rather than sit back on their heels like you have to do when you're pass blocking.
23-year-old, what a first year for him. Talk about rookie nominee. Dimitri Sumpas. Burris again. And an
little peek.
Yeah, that was as easy a touchdown that Joffrey Reynolds would have scored all season.
You know,
whoopsie.
This is a good example for young football players watching this game, okay? And I'm not picking on Joffrey Reynolds. He's a tremendous football player. This happens to the best of them, guys, and it's the fundamentals of the game. Here it is. Watch, Joffrey Reynolds is wide open. Two things. One, doesn't catch the ball with his hands. He lets the ball come to his chest. And number two, he takes a peek as the ball's arriving and doesn't secure it. See his head turned to the left there just a little bit. So two small fundamentals that you'll see every football player make that mistake at times, and that's the difference between catching it and a touchdown.
Difference between 7 points and 3 points. Sandro DeAngelis, the field goal. Stamps still extend their lead, 27-4. Chris Jones looking a little wet down there. Let's go down to our wet Dwayne Ford.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rod, Chris Jones may be looking a little wet, but he's still got a bit of a smile on his face because of the way his defense is playing here tonight. He's built this entire unit around speed, and it's been a factor in breaking up opportunities for big plays from Hamilton, whether it's been free safety Milton Collins ranging from sideline to sideline, breaking up corner and fade routes, or as you saw on the last series, Dwayne Carpenter running down an attempted end around. Speed is the key to what Chris Jones' teams do on defense.
Former Alouette assistant. You saw General Manager Jim Barker on the sideline as well. Just over a minute to go, third quarter. Porter on the back step, stays in the pocket and over the middle. With the footballs, Ernest Jackson down to the 36-yard line, and that's the biggest play from the Cats here tonight.
And Ernest Jackson showing a little bit of speed as well. That time the Calgary Stampeders dropped Charleston Hughes, number 39, into pass coverage to the left of your screen, and that's right where Ernest Jackson ran in behind. And defensive end not used to dropping deep, and he didn't get enough depth on it. Opened up Jackson behind him.
Rodriguez and Browner matched up again. Porter looking for Rodriguez. And another first down. Only his third catch tonight. That's a testament to what Brandon Browner has done all over Preche Rodriguez, but you can see that play developing from here.
And this defense now has had a couple big plays. We'll see how they react, and you heard Dwayne talk about the speed on the defense. The other thing that I like about what Chris Jones has done with his defense has been patient with it, because early on when they were playing that aggressive style and relying on their speed, they gave up some plays, but they hung with it, and it's paying off now.
Last play, third quarter. Porter trying to go around the end. Still on his feet, Quentin Porter. Just shy of the first down marker. He was lucky he wasn't sacked there. Teams will change ends in the driving rain in here in Hamilton, and Calgary leads by 23. Stampeders a quarter away from clinching top spot in the West. Joffrey Reynolds piling up the numbers. Might have been a few more numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons, always fresh.
Yeah, the rushing yards important for the Calgary Stampeders there at 140. Another big game for Joffrey Reynolds. You know, the Hamilton Tiger Cats had a chance, Rod, in the first quarter. They were inside the 30 a couple of times after turnovers with opportunities to put majors on. They could have taken probably a 14-0 lead and had a chance to upset the Stamps. They've got something going here now, but it's uphill battle for Hamilton against this football team.
Yeah, it's an old broken record. I don't even know if they make records anymore, but you know, it's the skipping CD, if you will. But that's what happens to this team so often. There are these little turning points within the game that, until the Hamilton Tiger Cats learn how to win those little points in the game, that's when they're going to finally start winning the whole game.
Well, you're right. And we showed earlier in the game the 5 opportunities that they were within a score to winning football games. Had they won those, they're in the playoffs. And again, the opportunities, here they are right here on the doorstep with a chance to close the gap.
Second and short yardage to give to Kenton Keith. But it looks like he might be stopped short again. He lunged forward. We'll see what the spot is. It's likely a third down play here, and it'll be third and short yardage, and a field goal quite simply not good enough here.
Yeah, it's almost a time here. I know it's the beginning of the fourth, but you're almost, if you're Marcel Belfait, thinking the whole fourth quarter of 3-down football, you don't have really much to lose. It doesn't matter if you lose by 1 or 100 in this game now. And if they were trying to evaluate Kenton Keith, I don't know, not a very good average. Only 6 carries, too.
Not looking like Kenton Keith. Oh, and he dropped in the backfield on third down. Not looking like the Kenton Keith who left the CFL for greener pastures south of the border. And
yeah,
it has been a miserable night for him and the Cats so far.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about this call either. And you know, I think when you look at this, I don't think Kenton Keith has played his best football without question. I thought he's been very hesitant tonight. He's making moves and not hitting the ball hard. But that call has to be part of the blame there, because that deep handoff is a read play. On third down and short yardage, you need to hit it hard. Hit the line, and if you don't get it, you don't get it. But when you run a read play, you're allowing time to the defense to get there and rally, and that had no chance.
Early fourth quarter, the way the Stampeders have been rolling here tonight. We talked about next week. You know, the time may be coming that Stampeders might be thinking about going to their bench too and sitting some of their starters.
Yeah, and there's another example of what happens when you have that quick defense. Charleston Hughes, the quick defense that Chris Jones has built, and you run a read play like that against a quick defense, you're in big, big trouble, especially on third down. I didn't like the call or the execution, but Charleston Hughes was there again.
Fumble on the snap. Henry Burris got it back, and the Cats will get it back here. And Stampeders will have to kick the football away.
So there you go. So we take the first quarter for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Twice inside the 30, come away with 3 points in those. They don't have a chance to get up ahead of the Calgary Stampeders, get them reeling. They have a chance here for fumble, don't quite get it. That after being down on the doorstep and not getting the third down gamble. Those are all small little things, small little plays. And now Calgary will punt the ball away. Quentin Porter comes out, and instead of being inside the score zone, he's back at midfield again.
Burke Dales will be near his goal line. Again, we've seen kickers in the past just take the 2 points, but tonight Dales has chosen to kick it away. We've seen it from Seta too. I know you like that stuff. Trey Smith and the Cats will get the ball back in Calgary territory. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by CFL All-Star Voting. On now, go to futureshop.ca/all-star and vote for your favorite player today. 27-4, the Stampeders 12 minutes, 34 seconds away from advancing to the West Division Final November 15th by clinching first place here tonight. Tiger Cats trying to rally back here. Porter in trouble again and drops the football, and again the Stampeders lower the boom. They have the football, they have the lead, they have it all here tonight.
Well, Quentin Porter now is starting to press a little bit. He's looking for the big play. He's looking down the field. He only had one deep route there, and he was trying to find it. It wasn't open, and he got locked in looking down the field. He had some open receivers underneath on first down, but he looked downfield. That pocket collapsed. I think it was Mike Labinjo that got there first, and then Eddie Freeman cleans it up, gets the fumble, and Calgary has the football on Hamilton's side of midfield.
Again, and we talked about it before, about next week and what the Stamps' MO might be should the game be inconsequential to the standings. The fact that Henry Burris or Joffrey Reynolds or some of the other starters might play a little bit. You might see that here tonight. We might see their backup, by the way, is now Derek Neely in this game, unless the Cats can mount some sort of ferocious comeback here.
Burris threw that away. It's Friday night. It's our chance to say hello to some of the men and women in the Canadian Armed Forces, which we do every Friday. And this is the 3RC battle group from CFB Petawawa, Ontario, deployed in southern Afghanistan during Operation Athena, part of our Canadian Forces contribution to the International Security Assistance Force. There's a football from the group. All CFL fans. Operation Athena provides security for reconstruction and mentoring for local Afghan forces. And I can't emphasize enough how grateful we are to their sacrifice. And, you know, it's when we do it, because we tie it into Gladiator when we name on Friday night, because they are the ultimate gladiators. And, you know, when the Hamilton Tiger Cats have a bad day, they lose a football game. If it's a bad day for those guys over there, it's a lot worse. So I hope that all Canadians remember that and what they're doing over there, and we thank them.
And a huge football fans who watch on Canadian Forces radio and television. Middle of the night over there. A lot of correspondents from overseas, so hello to us men and women. Burris, and picked off. Chris Thompson with his league-leading 9th interception. Wendy's CFL on TSN Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. So the Hamilton Tiger Cats, ball hawking secondary the last couple of weeks. And how about Chris Thompson, now one pick ahead of Baron Miles for the CFL lead. Falling here, Davis. Forward progress got him to near the 38-yard line. Let's take another look at that interception by Chris Thompson.
Yeah, he's really come on. I mean, 07, he spent 9 games. The Edmonton Eskimos, he comes over. He had an interception last week versus Saskatchewan. He is now 9 on the year, as you mentioned, #1 in the CFL. He also adds 9 knockdowns. Had he been able to hang on to a couple of those knockdowns, how big could that total be? This secondary is really coming together.
Draw play and running room for Kenton Keith. Keith still on his feet. There's a penalty flag downfield. It might be against Hamilton, but it was after a lot of the game by Kenton Keith. His best run of the night. In fact, his best run since returning to the Canadian Football League.
And he finally showed some acceleration that we're used to seeing from Kenton Keith. Of course, he's a guy who's worked with Marcel Belfait before in Saskatchewan.
Legal block, Hamilton, number 87. After the first John had been gained, be a 10-yard penalty, first down.
And the hole will open up after the penetration comes from the outside. The penetration is here, and then the hole opens up for Kenton Keith right through there. And I like the acceleration right afterwards. Here he comes, and there he puts it into another gear, and that's a Kenton Keith that we're used to seeing.
Here's a first down, high snap. Trey Smith has the first down. Well, there has been a two-headed monster for the most part for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the running game all season. The two heads have just been a lot of different heads, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. And you know, boy, Trey Smith, you know, not taking nothing away from Jesse Lumsden, who I know is hurt on the 9 game, and when he plays, he can be dominant. But Trey Smith, out of what they have now, to me, is their best. I mean, he's the best one of the 3 when you look at Terry Colley, Kitten Keith getting back into it, and Trey Smith. I'd take Trey Smith.
6 receivers set out of the backfield. Rodriguez a first down. Cliche Rodriguez with a straight arm and gets it down to the 32-yard line. And so Quentin Porter starting to get some confidence here in the 4th quarter.
Well, the time is the enemy now for Hamilton, who are still trying to hang on, and the Calgary Stampeders starting to give them a little bit more room now, and that's sort of human nature. You have a big lead, and the Calgary Stampeders feel like they probably have first place wrapped up, but they still have 9 minutes to finish here. They're just shy of 9.
Porter with time. Bauman with running room and another first down on the sideline. And finally into the red zone go the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
That's what I mean by just a little bit less of an edge from Calgary. Are you noticing that too? I mean, it looks to me like, you know, Bauman, who comes from the right here all the way across, tons of time here for Quentin Porter. That route goes from one side to the other. And what Porter? Steamboat, another steamboat, another steamboat. Waits, Bauman opens up, and just not quite as an aggressive Calgary defense.
Cats have self-destructed when they've gotten down here tonight. Porter lets it fly for Bauman again. Can't get there. Just past his outstretched fingertips.
They've tried to get him that ball about 3 different times down in the red zone on the very same pattern and had the same result all 3 times. The reason that an offense can take a corner route like that from an inside receiver is because on the outside, the corner, Brandon Browner, is up and bump and run, so he can't fall under it and help. But they haven't been able to hook up on that one yet.
Comes the motion again. Davis to the left of Porter. Looks for Davis. Touchdown.
What a move. Chris Davis with some shake and bake on Lenny Walls.
If this is audition time and a dress rehearsal for next year, I think Chris Davis is punching his ticket for employment.
That was a sweet-looking move by Chris Davis. I watched it from start to finish here. It's just going to be to the right of your screen, and he shakes him inside, makes an outside cut, and then comes right back into the middle and open by 5 yards.
So the Cats find Pater. 7.5 to go. You never know.
Let's go, baby.
Suits, I'm not sure if you qualify, but they're out there. The worst drivers in Canada. They're reckless, careless, and dangerous. Canada's worst driver 4. New season premieres Monday on Discovery Channel.
Schultze was a final cut, I heard.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Survivor?
Yeah, just about made the show. But he's busy. We've got playoffs coming up.
Well, most of those guys in the studio don't have to worry about that. They're always in limos, right? Never have to worry about that stuff.
Good point.
Marcus Howell on that bounding kick. So the Tiger Cats have found the end zone here in the 4th quarter. 7.5 minutes to go, and the Stampeders haven't exactly been moving the football lately either, and so maybe another chance here to pull closer.
Bad circle, but a good play. And watch Chris Davis here. Look at that outside fake. Good hard steps to the outside. Sell it, back over the middle. And Lenny Walls is just trying to gather up his equipment. I got my shoes over here, lost that. There's my jock, I'll go get that.
Chris Davis, a touchdown last week, touchdown this week. Impressive so far. Bullet over the middle. Nick Lewis in the receiving end of another first down pitch and catch for the Stampeders.
Lenny Walls got in trouble on that one too, because Walls had to come from the middle, and on that touchdown there was Walls there, and he was trying to recoup, and he was trying to get over there, and he's late getting there, and then he gets beat on the inside and didn't line up there in time.
Burris to play action. Henry Burris takes off of it. And you know right now that John Hufnagel and the rest of Stampeder Nation, every time Burris takes off with the football, remember it was against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, a Zeke Moreno hit.
Yes.
Changed the Calgary Stampeders' fortunes a little bit.
Yeah, it was right down this end of the field as well. It was week 12. Henry Burris was hit. His shoulder went out. Zeke Moreno on a tackle. There's that quarterback draw we drew up early in the game, and they lost the Stampeders their next 4 in a row with Burris out of the lineup.
6 minutes to go here. 6 minutes for the Stamps to clinch first. Burris out of the pocket again. Penalty markers everywhere. One over at the 26-yard line, one in the backfield. That likely is holding. Maybe an interference call downfield.
See how quickly Burris ran out of bounds there, though.
Yes.
And he learned from Zeke Moreno. And it was right in the exact same area where Moreno made the tackle on him, right near the sideline a year ago. That call will go against Jeff Pelon, I believe.
We have holding, Calgary, number 64. That penalty's declined. We have holding, Calgary, number 60. That penalty's accepted. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
A lot of holding going on there. That moves the football back. 1st and 20 now for the Stampeders.
Concerns for Hufnagel is that his team is getting lulled into playing kind of average in this second half.
Breaking free. Demetrius Summers with his first carry of the night, getting some playing time here, and comes close to picking up the entire first down yardage on 1st and 20.
Summers on the draw was caught in the backfield. He lines up to the right of Henry Burris and was caught by Rare Marius. Sloppy tackling there. Summers takes advantage of it and gets him a 2nd and short.
Summers on the sideline now as Reynolds goes to the backfield on 2nd and short yardage. Burris behind center. Oh, the ball's dropped. Fumbled on a miscommunication. It looked like they wanted to try the end around or the boot there. And that was almost disaster for the Stampeders.
Yeah, there was a problem with the exchange here. It looked like Burris lost the handle before he went around to give it to Kenyon Rambo coming from the reverse side. He has a few carries, Kenyon Rambo, on that. But, you know, the one concern for John Hufnagel now, and you could tell his face says 1,000 words, that expression. The Calgary Stampeders in this second half have been lulled into playing very average. And, you know, they have a big lead. They have first place if they win. They just have to be careful because you don't want to learn bad habits at this point in the season.
Sandro DeAngelis, the most accurate kicker in CFL history, as a matter of fact. Of course, I jinxed him, you know that.
You did.
Comes back home. Niagara Falls hits the upright. Nothing there. No points. And so the score remains 27-11 with 4.5 to go. Well, Purolator's sack attack brought to you by Purolator, where business is going. A couple sacks apiece here tonight.
The Ticats got a couple. The Calgary Stampeders, they jumped past Edmonton with a couple. They were at 29. They're now at 31. Of course, the Eskimos play tomorrow against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Big game there.
Yeah, if this score holds, there are a couple big games and tomorrow night as well for the BC Lions against Toronto. Could be jam-packed should the score hold here. The Stampeders clinch. Still a lot to be decided in that CFL West. Who will be the crossover team? And into the game now. His first pass attempt with a penalty flag on the play. Our first look at Adam Trafalis.
Trafalis out of San Jose State. And this is an interesting move.
Major foul.
They wanted to get him in the game the last couple of weeks. They wanted to take a look.
15-yard penalty.
They think that Adam Trafalis has some big upside and took a knock to the head here.
Take a bit of a hit from Dwayne Carpenter here, and that's just a high hit. But has Marcel Belfay basically decided to say that this game is done, and he wants to take a look at Trafalis.
Trafalis in the play action. Davis! You know something that it's a 16-point game as the whistle blew, and Davis and the Ticats move the football again, but it is interesting, and I know maybe our sideline reporters down there can give us an indication of what Marcel Belfay thought about bringing Trafalis in.
Well, Marcel Belfay is being evaluated as well. He's evaluating players, but he's also being evaluated by management here and by Bob Obilovich. And a couple of wins would have really helped him down the stretch. Now, Adam Trafalis looks like he's moving the football.
Trafalis launching to the end zone. Drop by Priche Rodriguez. Dwight Anderson blanketing him, and Rodriguez has pulled a number of those down.
And he looked like he had this one too. He had both hands on it, and I think he would have been ruled inbounds and that he would have been pushed out of bounds by the defender had he been able to hang on. He's right on the outside. He has it in his hands right here, and he would have come down inbounds if not for being pushed by Dwight Anderson. But he drops the ball. Let it slip through.
Trafalis inside 3 minutes now. Second down. Guy can also run, but decides to throw wide open. Well, maybe we should have brought in Trafalis earlier. Boy, he's moving the football here. He's got a good arm. This is a guy who also has got very fast feet. The combine ran a 4.78 40. 3-minute warning. Cats moving the ball. Well, it's time now for the game story, brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
Big game by Joffrey Reynolds. Henry Burrs had a couple of TD passes, 38 on the season so far for him with the game to go. Ticats had opportunities in the first quarter, but a couple turnovers have hurt them, and they couldn't get Kenton Keith going at all.
And third-string quarterback Adam Trafalis into the game. The handoff up the middle for Kenton Keith. Quinton Porter, who began the game with his 5th start, and apparently Quinton Porter, you can see him limping on the sideline, and that's why Adam Trafalis is into this game.
And Dwayne Ford from the sideline had noticed that he's got the ice pack on, and this makes a little more sense now, because to just pull him just to take a look at Adam Trafalis, okay, but in a 2-score game, it would have been strange to pull him at that point. But if he's nicked and hurt, then that's a different story.
We're hearing a minor MCL strain. Trafalis looks good so far. Unable to haul it in is Pat Woodcock on second down. So I'm sure that Marcel Belfay is going to go after this, and Trafalis getting a look here.
Well, you mentioned Trafalis and his speed. 4.78 doesn't sound fast.
No, but
football
for a quarterback.
Terms. For a quarterback, it is. He did that, which was in the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL Combine. Spent some time with the Indianapolis Colts and was waived by the Colts this year in July, and they like him here. Want to take a look at him, try and get to evaluate him under fire here.
So he would have played with Kenton Keith, would have been there with him to the end zone. Touchdown! Priche Rodriguez from Adam Trafalis, his first CFL touchdown toss.
You know, and moved the ball. I mean, you know, comes in, first game experience, and yes, Calgary may be playing a little more off than they have in the first half of this game tonight and that they have all season. But Adam Trafalis comes out here and moves the football, throws on the run. He made a couple of completions from the pocket. Pretty good.
Well, the Cats will finish out their season away from home next week. Adam Trefalis, based on Quentin Porter's health, might be the starting quarterback next week because Richie Williams has kind of become persona non grata now, quarterback non grata here in Hamilton, and he was part of the configuration. No longer, it seems. Casey Printers unhealthy. They're going for 2 here. Trefalis lobs one deep. Jackson can't get to it. Good D supplied by Brandon Smith.
It really was, because Brandon Smith, that looked like that ball was absolutely perfect from Trefalis over the shoulder and outside, and I thought this was going to be the ideal throw on the fade route. There's the fade route there, but watch Smith. He doesn't give up and just gets that right hand in there on Ernest Jackson. It looked like the perfect throw when it left Trefalis' hand. And did that just bounce off his shoulder pad a little bit as well? Possibly did, but I thought Brandon Smith got his hand in there.
27-17, still a 2-possession, 2-score game.
Interesting though when you think that Rod, that Adam Trefalis comes in ahead of Casey Printers, and clearly that's part of the evaluation process, that Belfait knows what Printers can do, and with Quentin Porter with the knees, it's now Trefalis.
And of course Printers has been banged up and he is not 100%, but yeah, Adam Trefalis, how about that? 4 of 7. Welcome to the CFL, kid. So a 10-point game.
And an onside kick attempt possibly from the Hamilton Tiger Cats here.
Now you again look at, and again Calgary has let up a little bit, it seems anyway, in the fourth quarter, but look at all the opportunities that Quentin Porter and the Cats had early, and they just shot themselves in the foot, whether it was penalty, dropped footballs, or turnovers at the time. Hamilton very well could be a lot closer, in fact could be ahead in this game.
Without question. I mean, those were, I felt they could have had a 14-0 lead in the first quarter had they taken advantage of their opportunities. They didn't, and allowed Calgary's offense time to get rolling in a kind of workmanlike game.
Hands team on. That one's a little deep for an onside kick, and there was a penalty flag. Marcel Belfait, chatting with him yesterday, told me that, you know, all those close games they had earlier in the season where they had continuity, they had one group of players and they felt they were very close. Then they changed a lot of the players, and just when they were close to winning those games, they had new players come in, and so they're starting to learn with that second core of players.
Yeah, and sooner or later, this team has got to just settle in, evaluate the talent. If they decide to bring players in they like Chris Davis, like Precier Rodriguez, like some of these guys, Sasha Lancaster, then they got to stick with them through some bumps. And I know the fans have run out of patience, and I don't blame them, but you have to get that continuity. You have to get a chance for these guys to play together. There is some talent there. The receiving core has some talent. The quarterbacks have shown some talent.
Ken Lazarek sorting this out. Well, again, has been a lot of losing in Hamilton through the years since they won the Cup in 1999. 3-15 last year, 4-14, 5-13, 5-13 going back to the 1-17. There's a very good chance they'll only have 3 wins again this year. So something has to give, but they're in it for the long haul, according to owner Bob Young, President Scott
We have
Mitchell.
an illegal kickoff. Hamilton, number 13. That's a 5-yard penalty. We have offside. Calgary, number 56. That's a 5-yard penalty. Both penalties balance out. We'll re-kick again.
Well, I'll get another try. And the key evaluator in all this is General Manager Bob Bobilovich, who has been a guy who's been known to go out and find some gold out there. He's going to need gold.
He needs a couple. He needs another rush end. It'll help in the offensive line. Pretty much after that, he will have a good football team. I like their secondary. And another chance on the onside kick here for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And meanwhile, the Calgary Stampeders will lock up first place here in the bye in the West Final. First time since 2000. Got to hope that this second half was a little complacent just because of the situation and that they didn't learn any bad habits here.
You said the word, maybe methodical. That's the way it was tonight for them. And the Quickly down with the football at the midfield stripe is Teo Johnson. That's a good guy to have out there. Sure-handed and a big guy. It's been a good acquisition, Teo Johnson.
So the Calgary Stampeders now, you heard the report from Sarah Orleski on the sideline about what they might do next week. Still important games coming up for the BC Lions. John Hufnagel now has to make that decision, and I think what he said to Sarah is a good idea, is just to have the guys prepared during the week for the last week of the regular season, which is against the Lions, like they would be playing any other game. Be ready to play. If they give them a break too soon, Rod, they're looking at 3 weeks off before they play that Western final, and that's a lot of time off. I mean, football players are creatures of habit. They like to get into that routine. They like to go the work day, the day off, the physical part, the mental preparation. Important to keep that up, even though they've locked up first.
Yeah, they are a bit battered, and they could use some time to heal. 95 seconds to go here, and first place will be theirs. They're still in the game, and so too Joffrey Reynolds. And really, with this game in control, a little risky, you might think. TSN Turning Point now, brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade.
You know, the Ticats had some things going in the first quarter, and it was 0-0. Looks like they were going to go for their first three-pointer and maybe take the lead, and Charleston Hughes blocked the field goal, got field position. Calgary ends up getting that field goal and had the lead the rest of the football game.
Turning Point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. So on Fan Appreciation Night here in Hamilton, final home game of the season, the Cats once again are going to fall on the losing end. Herb Dales.
And by the way, Charleston Hughes plays on the punt cover team too.
He's been downfield on almost every play tonight. Trey Smith watches it bounce into the end zone where he'll give up a single point. Just over a minute to go. Well, you said the name. He is our Friday night gladiator.
Well, Joffrey Reynolds had a big game on the score sheet when you look at numbers rushing. But it's not just about numbers when it comes to gladiator. It's about those tough plays, and we've seen Charleston Hughes on special teams with big plays on defense with sacks, the great speed he has, the toughness in the middle, taking the double team. He's played on the teams. Big third down play where he was in the backfield. I just think in the last 4 or 5 games, the last half of the season, he has dominated. He did it again tonight. Charleston Hughes, congratulations. I salute you, our gladiator.
Friday Night Gladiator brought to you by Castrol. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering. A nice little pose down for Hughes as well. Trafala's still in. Showing some pretty good stuff. And Mr. Hughes, get that wrist ready to, you can flex with that on. A little red-faced Movado watch.
The Series 800. And every single player, you should hear the lobbying that goes on when we get into town on a Friday night.
You're like that guy with a suit. You just open your suit up and you got all those Movado watches.
No, I don't have them like that. No, they're brought in special order, but the guys sure enjoy them, and they, believe me, they know when it comes down to it, the bench on the winning side is starting to discuss who might be possibilities, and I'm sure the Calgary Stampeders were discussing Charleston Hughes tonight, because you know, this is not only a win on the Gladiator for Charleston Hughes for tonight's performance, but I think overall the second half of the season, every football team in the CFL, I believe, needs a dominant rush end. Calgary
Offside.
has it, Charleston
Hamilton,
Hughes.
number 15, declined.
That was a huge play early in this ball game. Turning Point, and Charleston Hughes has figured prominently in almost every play here tonight. Third down now for the Cats and Trafalis. Pat Woodcock.
Let's go back, Rod.
Do you want to give him another watch?
Well, I can't give him another one tonight, but I guess he got the watch, and he shows you just this was second down on the stunt underneath.
Whoa!
And put Trafalis gets another hit, and third down now he drops in pass coverage. I mean, a rush end who covers kicks made a block kick on a special teams, drops in pass coverage, make a tackle in the open field, and hits the quarterback on the previous play.
Well,
you can't ask anything more.
He has to be a candidate already, and I know it just begun, but Defensive Player of the Week honors.
You got the watch.
All right. The flex what did it. He's got the watch.
The flex is what did it. Oh,
yeah.
Miguel Robidet in on there. Now they're posing down now. They all want to watch.
First win and first division title for the Calgary Stampeders since the year 2000. They will clinch first place. John Huffnagel's team has the bye in the Western Final.
That coincidentally was also a year that they finished with 12 wins.
And talk about award winners and award nominees. John Huffnagel.
John Huffnagel, Henry Burris.
Front runners in those categories. Congratulations to John Huffnagel, the Calgary Stampeders. And they will lock up first in the West. Still a lot to be decided in the West, though, for second place and home field. But Calgary gets that bye, and it's important.
How about that, too? First-year coaches winning the West and the East this year. The Alouettes, Mark Tressman, we congratulate them. Deal sealed. The Calgary Stampeders win the West. They will have a bye to the West Division Final. One more game to go. Henry Burris and the Stampeders run wild tonight in Hamilton. Final 28-17. The Stamps finish first. They will host the West Division Final on November 15th. Tiger Cats, one game for them. They fall to 3-14. Stamps now 12-5. Good night from Hamilton. Let's Flex. SportsCenter next.